The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome to the show. This is the Journey Radio Show, and hey, we're the She Squatchers. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Jen Cruz, your host, and I've got my trusty teammates on the line. I've got Jenna Grover.
Well, howdy.
Hi, Jenna. And I've got Tammy Trikel.
Hi, everybody.
And we've got a super special guest for you tonight. We've got Quint Askildson with us from Minnesota. He's joining us this week to share with us about his adventures in Bigfoot and his new Bigfoot research team. So welcome, Quint, to the show.
Thank you very much.
Hi. I'm so glad you could join us tonight, and I hear that your lovely wife might be joining us on our next show.
Yes. Yeah, she's going to partake.
I love it.
Nice.
I like to partake also.
But you naughty little thing.
Indulge, right?
Tammy is our resident partier. Jenna and I are the local prudes.
Oh, we kind of are.
Which holds less and less significance as the years pass because they're not as prudish as they pretend to be, and people are finding them out.
Oh, whatever.
You know what?
We're in bed by 9.
I have been getting a little bit naughtier. I've been swearing a bit. What?
I said, look out, Bigfoot. The she squatchers are on your tail, boy.
Exactly. And we're not prudes anymore.
Well, I tell you
don't
what,
even.
I was in bed pretty early during Bigfoot days. Just saying, Tammy would have been offended.
I would have been offended because y'all are in bed at Bigfoot days when I am there.
I know.
So
You know what? We're getting better though. I mean, now it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. We're like, we stay up that late now.
ooh,
Sometimes.
you party girls.
I know.
This radio show doesn't even end until 11 o'clock for me.
We just have to be good and follow the rules and be ready for the morning, and
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
What time did you go to bed at Bigfoot days?
Oh, for me, I think I didn't much get any sleep. Probably we were up most of the night.
Were ya? Okay, see?
Yeah, it's pretty eventful.
Well, you guys went out in the woods though, right?
Yeah, yeah. A lot transpired during that time.
Yeah. I was running the booth, so I had to be ready for the morning.
Right.
Yep. Oh, Moofy's in our chat room. She's already asking questions. Do you know anything about skinwalkers?
What?
Do you know anything about skinwalkers? She wants to know.
No, it's kind of funny. Yes, I've had some information about 20 years ago. We did some research, a friend and I, when we were down south, Navajo country, and just kind of listened to some stories and stuff, and kind of had a learning event for about a week. It was a great experience.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we should start in the beginning. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your background and so I think that's important to show who you are.
Sure. So just a little bit about me. I don't like talking about myself, but well, just to start, I'm a United States Army veteran. After getting out of the Army, I pursued full-time law enforcement and full-time college student, and graduated from an undergraduate degree down in Iowa, and I was a full-time police officer. Then I took a promotion, became a chief of police, and also I was over an ERT team. And then I also engaged into rural Iowa public service volunteers, being firefighter, EMT, my extra time that I didn't have, along with doing school and trying to have a family too.
Wow.
Did that for several years. I left law enforcement after around 17. I had enough of that. I wanted to do something different. Still stayed in public service with being an EMT and fire rescue throughout Iowa for the town. I did a lot of town hopping, small town hopping. I'm originally from North Iowa. After leaving that, but during that whole time, mind you, I've always had a passion because my family raised horses and did a lot of training with wrangling horses for people out west. We're a Western culture hunting family. We had a wilderness outfitters service and guide service, and well, that just grew bigger, and that's hence what I'm doing now. But rewind, beep, hit the button. So I decided to pursue my love of tracking, and it grew larger. And I got into utilizing my law enforcement background, military background, and hunting background. I decided to pursue more of the tracking side of that culture. Plus, growing up in a survivalist style family, bushcraft, woodlore, and it just kind of turned and grew up, and I became a combat tracker. Combat tracker is it's a style of a discipline. It's a combat discipline to where they take the culture of tracking. Literally, it's the old style scouts from American history, and the scouts work closely with the native culture, as where everyone is aware with American history. Scouts and trackers became together, and that became my code name. Actually, with Scout Tracker, I have a Native American background, like some of you do as well. Family. My dad has Cheyenne on his side, and Irish. So we come from a very rich family of military history. We have one of the oldest military histories in North Iowa for a family on record. So I'm very proud of our military service of our family. And then, of course, we have a lot of nurses, and that, anyway, that goes on. So what I'm getting at, I started learning. I met a good friend of mine up in Ely, Minnesota, actually. And come to find out, so it's kind of funny. He was a Dutchman, I thought anyway. And he sounded like he was from Amsterdam. So I heard him laughing across the bar. He had a very, very hearty laugh. And he had what it sounded like, like he was from Amsterdam or something, because I've been to Amsterdam a few times with a friend of mine. And I heard that, and I thought, well, what the heck? I'm going to walk up and say, hey, you sound like you're from Amsterdam. He says, Amsterdam? I'm not from Amsterdam. He says, I'm from South Africa originally. I went, okay. He says, my family's was colonists. And I said, bad on me. And hence that started out. Come to find out, he was a Rhodesian Selous Scout at one time. And the Rhodesian Selous Scouts has quite a history in Africa. During the Rhodesian Civil War, they were one of the most feared combat counterterrorism units in Africa, if not in the world at the time, in the 70s and 80s. But after the Rhodesian Civil War ended, he became a game warden throughout South Africa, going and protecting black rhinoceros, elephants, and other protected species from poachers in the ivory trade. So what a wonderful life. And he did that for, I don't know, 30 years. And then he finally decided, he's had enough. He's had enough of the African scene. He thought, well, why not move to northern United States and experience Canada and the boreal forests as a canoe guide. So he said, why not? So I won't repeat his word that he would use since we're on public television. Let's just say it was very enlightening on how he expressed himself. And well, the rest is history. We became friends, and I became he was my mentor for learning how to track. And my career path with that grew into being a private contractor, learning how to combat track. He took me to different tribes like the Zulu, Swahili, the Maasai, and I learned their tracking combat principles from history of their traditional tribes. So you combine that with my family's hunting background, learning how to track and hunt from, hence the Ojibwa, actually. So just from him hiring out people over the 50-year span of him being a guide. So yeah, and then fast forward today to where I currently have a wilderness outdoor skills school and guide service, and I do that as my kind of my semi-retired hobby. And I moved away from law enforcement and all the other $25 titles. My education is I'm a doctor in metaphysics, and I'm also an ordained with the metaphysics. I'm an ordained minister, so that's, I call that my end of career midlife crisis. So
You
I'm an
are
ordained minister, too.
incredible. You know, first of all, thank you and thank your family for dedicating your lives, I mean, to everyone. I mean, with all the military and nursing and everything else you were talking about, thank you very much. And thank you for your service. But wow, it just continues. And
yeah.
now, wow, I'm just stunned. I mean, you are an amazing person. And I love to hear that when people are like going to their fullest and working at their best. You know, it sounds like that's what you do.
You know, I just don't like sitting on my hands. I like being productive. Other than my wife will say once in a while, I like sleeping in my in my recliner sometimes too many times. You know, I go to bed early, but no, put all the joking aside. It's a discipline, and I also having a family that I grew up. I'm a second generation martial artist as well. I've been in the martial arts since I was 6 years old, AIKI-JUJUTSU. And I've trained across Iowa, North Iowa, all over the Midwest. I've trained a lot of people. I have hundreds of students that I was blessed to experience and learn, to have great inner life experiences with their families. And I've been blessed. That's why I've turned to the Lord in regards to being ordained minister. I just can't express enough on the blessings I've received in life, and the ups and downs. You learn from the hard points to make you a better person, you know, better than what you were. So I can't express enough the Lord provides if you're willing to sow the seeds in order to grow your crop, by blessing other people, by giving them knowledge from the knowledge you got. If you can return that, then you can sow your seeds and spread your roots.
Everything moves in a circle and gets bigger as it goes.
Amen.
Right? Yes.
Great. That's well put. Well put. Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
That's what my native elder taught me. The
Yes.
sacred hoop. The sacred
Yeah.
hoop. But yeah, he says everything moves in a circle and it gets bigger as it goes. So choose what you want to send out. So that's how that goes. But I love it. So tell me, how did you get involved in or interested in Bigfoot? How did that begin for you?
Well, you know, how it began was a Native American when I was 12 years old. He was kind of a mentor when I was growing up. Very special person in my life. I've had very, very few people that I view as mentors in my life. And I've had five great men in my life that I view as very special. And they've taught me a lot of life items, I guess you could say, to on the road to being a man. I didn't have a normal childhood. My childhood consisted of, when you have a dad that's a Marine, it's, you don't really have the blessing to be able to, even get out of line, never talk back to mom. I grew up in a very loving, strong military farm family. So, so fast forward to this mentor, he was a hunter and he was Native American. We would go out and do woods walks. And we've done this. I don't know. I'd always go on wood walks with him because my family's been coming up to northern Minnesota from Iowa. We have land up there. And I know I've been coming up since I was 5 or 6 years old. So, we spend a lot of our time, my mom and dad was, we were blessed to be able to have the abilities to come up basically whenever we wanted, because my mom was a county nurse and my dad was retired from the Marine Corps. So I did have the blessing to be able to do things more than some kids got to do. I got to live 2 lives. I got to live in Iowa and I got to live in northern Minnesota, for lots of periods of time. So I never missed a hunting season or missing out on the fishing. And the whole lifestyle of being up north. So we would take woods walks, and one day we were sitting up against a tree, and we would mimic birds. We would listen to different animals in the woods. We would close our eyes, and that's how he taught me the different animals in the woods. And then I don't know how to explain it. All of a sudden, I got this weird feeling of an ominous presence, even at 12 years old. And it was kind of scary. Okay. And then I didn't smell any smells. I didn't smell the skunk smell. I didn't smell anything like that. All of a sudden, my mentor said, well, you're about to experience something that I've only seen once or twice in my life. And he says, don't be scared. Don't show any fear, because there's nothing to fear if you are just silent, study and observe and try and have a steady set of nerves and don't get him nervous. And it was a male. You could tell by the clear picture that he was only probably 20 yards away when he walked across the path, because my mentor was older. He was in his 70s, early, almost 80 at that time. And he would just sit down on the edge of the trail, and he says, try a bird sound. So I did a thrush bird sound, and all of a sudden it mimicked back to me. And I went, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And I saw the Sasquatch. I call it wild man myself, okay? He's wild man to me. That's what I was taught. He's wild man, okay? So, but I'll use the word Sasquatch, Bigfoot, but he's wild man. And that's kind of the culture that taught me. So wild man, I saw him for about, maybe if you just think, I can still thinking back, I'm just going, okay, don't freak, oh my. And to this day, I think it was only like 3 seconds I saw him walk, hesitate, look right at us. He mimicked the bird when he was standing there, and then walked into the woods and never saw him again. That was my first experience. And then I've had many encounters after that throughout my life. And most recently, I've had, I had a really bad one most recently. So even though I have my own group, I'm associated with Minnesota BRT. That's Abe's group. Abe and I are acquaintances, and I go out with his group from time to time, and I wear his t-shirt, and I support him in BRT. But then I also support other Bigfoot groups like you guys. You guys are rock stars. I love you guys. What great girls. I mean, thank you. Thank you for all that you do too. So, and I just can't I can't express enough how we have to share information with each other and network because, and not give up your hotspots. Okay. I'm not asking you to do that. But if we as a group can come together, look at, for example, for UFOs, MUFON. Okay. Look how interconnected they are and look how much success they've had. The Bigfoot community, and God bless you all. Please don't think I'm saying anything bad. We all have to learn how to get along together and grow and share instead of being tribal and protective and territorial. We need to be able to work together as a team and start a network and maybe start a database, which I'm going to start. With my new group, I'm doing this. I'm going to get networking going. I'm going to get the hardware to where we can get a universal network set up, a database that's going to be able to put information in, what worked, what didn't work, ideas, and just communication. And we're not going to ask for like, hey, where's your hot spot at? Because I really want to go out there and try and call in your Bigfoot with a wood knot. Okay. No. This is strictly educational. And I want it to be a source for all of us to share and be kind and warm with each other to grow in our community, to explore, research together, and get answers on things that need to be done. And ultimately, you know, even though I'm a hunter and I'm a tracker, I'm a firm believer that this wild man is not just an animal. Okay, it's not an animal. But you know well as I do, the scientific community today views it as folklore. It ridicules people, but it's people like us, you guys, me, other researchers that will get it to be a protected species to start. Unfortunately, I hate saying that, but this is a highly evolved wild man, and he's elusive because, biblically speaking, this is where I'm at. When it comes to the Bible, it's mentioned many times throughout the Bible. And there's also another book that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls called the Book of Giants. And it's mentioned throughout there. There's 3 different forms of the giants or the fallen, whatever you want to say. It was the Nephilim. The children of the Nephilim was the giants. And I can go into another hour on that stuff alone, but just reference it and actually look up the Book of Giants, read about that, read in the Book of Enoch, and then also look up just some other good readings in the Bible itself that mentions it. Okay. So, and I'll just stop enough about the religion part of it, but I'm a firm believer that Bigfoot, I feel, might be children of the giants, or they may be the giants, because the Nephilim was before the flood and the giants are after the flood. They're the children. And I'm not going to say they're evil or bad. That's speculation, okay? Because I don't really know. Or it could be totally another entity, a type of species all on its own, like us. They could be like us. That's why, in my opinion, I respect people in the Bigfoot community, but when we go outside and we beat on trees, they view it as a game with us. So they're going to play the game with us, and they way outsmart. They know that we're there because their sixth sense, I call it a sixth sense. I call it gut instinct. Their gut instinct is, so we go to work for a living every day. They're out there surviving every day. They are not an apex predator. I feel that they're omnivores like us. They're curious like us. And they just live a different existence than us. And they're not Gigantopithecus, in my opinion. They're not apes. They're not primates. They're a highly evolved species that I don't understand. And you know what? I really don't want to understand them because they're such a wonderful being that, you know, they're elusive. They've survived this long. They've protected their dead. They buried them in such a manner to where you can't find them. You hear reports of them being shot and, you know, they're end up dead and being helped, you know, from forest fires out west. And you heard about the Mount St. Helens deal, you know, but then there's good and bad in everything. I've experienced bad in these entities. I think there is truly evil within this species, and there's good within this species. And it's just like us. We have evil people and we have good people. I mean, our world shows that time and time again. Look at Ukraine. That's enough said there. Look at World War II. There's good and bad, but it's all about ideology. Ideology is who's bad and who's good. So really, is there any bad or is there any good? It just depends upon the culture's mindset of who was bad and who was good. So the Germans felt we were bad, and we felt the Germans was bad. So who is bad in reality? So you can take a jar, you put red ants in the jar, and you put black ants in the jar, and then they're getting along as long as the jar's not shook. Once you take that jar, you shake it up, right? All of a sudden, the ants start fighting. The red ants thinks the bad ants is bad, and the black ants think the red ants is bad. In actuality, it's the person that shook the jar up that is bad. That's just an example. Good analogy, okay? So I can't profess enough to say that this entity is amazing, and we need to do something to protect it against aggression of them being hurt, them being hunted. And like I said, I'm a hunter, but we need to do something to make sure. And by proof of gathering evidence, us, you gals, other people, if we can gather enough information, we have information out there, just that people is not wanting to do anything about it. They don't want to recognize that there is DNA evidence out there. There is blood samples out there. There are bones out there. You know, in our early years of our country, you know, Abraham Lincoln went on a trip and he couldn't believe all the giants that was buried in the burial mounds. Where did all those bones go after they collected them up? I don't know, but the history is the proof. There's proof in the pictures from the 1860s. There was giants buried everywhere.
The
So
Smithsonian.
They're at the Smithsonian, and they hid them. Yeah.
So you know where I'm going with that. So.
Yeah. So Sherry's in the chat room and she has a question. She's wondering, do you think that they can detect natural disasters ahead of time?
I view that they are probably able to, like human beings. I mean, paranormal, I would say probably if they're in tune with their natural world more than we are, I would say probably yes. Because you know what? If humans have premonitions or telekinesis or any other type of extrasensory special abilities, you know, it's a blessing from God, and most likely I will say yes. I hope.
Yeah, I always use the example of a tsunami. The only thing standing on the beach in a tsunami are the humans looking at it. Everything else leaves unless it's cased, right?
Right.
So
good point. Good point.
Yeah.
So I have sorry, go ahead.
The animals were running, but the humans were standing. And that's why how many thousands died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe that might be, forgive me if that was politically incorrect, but sometimes people's curiosity gets them killed. I've seen that in public service a lot, to where curiosity has gotten people in trouble.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you a quick question. Now, Sasquatch is known to be all over the world. What are your thoughts on, are they the same, or do you think they're different varieties of the same being?
You know, that's a very good question. So this is going to be a reasonable theoretical response, if you don't mind me saying that. I would say probably if there's three different races of giants, why can't there be different races of Sasquatch? Yes, I believe that there is. I mean, fully, if the Bible says that, why not? Why can't there be? I mean, that's the great mystery of mankind. I will say absolutely Very good question.
All right, and with that, we're going to go to our commercial break. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. Awesome. All right, I got to get into the chat with Sarge so I can see his. There we go. Okay. You're doing great.
Oh, good.
We're already halfway over. Can you believe that?
I know. Wow.
It goes fast.
It does. You gals are out. You're doing a good job asking good questions.
Well,
thank you. Actually, you're fabulous. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
great information. You're a great guest.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. What else cool things would you like to tell us about ourselves? I'm kidding. It didn't even come out right.
There's
How
someone
great we are.
someone's gifted in your group.
Huh? What?
Someone's gifted in your group. Somebody has
All of us.
premonition powers in your group.
We all do.
All of us. We're all psychic.
Because I'm feeling something. I feel that there's a connection, and that so the Minnewanee holy man told me that I'm a ghost walker, and that I dream and have visions, and I can have 6 to 8 seconds before something happens. This has saved my life on the TAC teams. It's saved me in combat, and it has generated me a 98% conviction rate in the state of Iowa. And it's a natural ability from God. And I felt that presence within one of you. Each one of you has a different style of gift.
We do.
I
That's
have
right.
spidey senses. So when something bad's going to happen, all the hairs like stand up on my arms, like it feels real prickly and it hurts.
Yeah, I felt I don't know how to explain it, but there's some radiant energy that's definitely streaming here that I could feel. So
welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Journey Radio Show. And hey, we're the She Squatchers. Won't you check us out online at shesquatchers.com? Right there at the top of the page, you'll see a place where you can find some links to our events page. Why don't you go check that out? We're about to update that again soon. We're working on some new things to add to that. They're just not there yet, but hey, we are going to be at ValleyCon in Fargo in October. That's going to be really cool. So please come check us out there. Hey, we're on YouTube, She Squatchers Official. Please subscribe and follow us there, as well as on Facebook and Instagram. So back to the show, we've got Quint Askildson with us. I'm murdering his name, I'm sure, but please forgive me.
no problem.
Oh, and we're really excited to have you on the show tonight. We were just talking, we can go back to what we were just saying when we were on break, because it's gonna, I didn't want to cut you off there, but we were back. So you were just saying that you felt like you felt something for us.
Yes.
With us. Yeah. So he was just saying on the break that he was feeling that one or some of us were having some premonition abilities and things like that, which he's absolutely right. And that we were all a little bit different with our gift. And that's absolutely right too. For me, I often see really bad things ahead of time. Like I saw COVID coming. And I was dreaming about COVID like every night. And I was telling the people closest to me that there's bad, something's coming. And to buy food and non-perishable foods and cold medicines and masks and toilet paper. Right, girls? Didn't I tell you that? Anyway, things just, and it's always, I always say, when you see something bad ahead of time, it's always for the purpose of finding the better path, the easiest path to navigate through that. So sometimes we can avoid it altogether, and sometimes we can help us to take a safer path. And that's what my native elders have told me too. Like that was what that gift is for, is to help guide us through the troubled times.
But it's tough, because when you're given the information, like say you have a premonition seconds before something happens and you try to get out of this situation so it doesn't happen, and it still happens, is it written? You know what I mean?
Well, for me, like if I woke up one morning and I felt like I was going to be in an accident. And so I was just very careful. And then I was watching for the sign. And then when I saw the sign, I pulled over and I waited until I saw another sign that it was safe to go. Because I got mad the time that I did get in an accident, and right beforehand, I was like, okay, I was remembering how the perfect position to sit in the car, not get whiplash. And then all of a sudden, this truck zoomed out in front of me really fast and slammed on its brakes on the interstate. And there was no way that I could stop. And so I hit the guy. And so I was yelling at my guides after. I'm like, obviously, you were telling me there was going to be an accident because I was in the perfect position to not get whiplash. Why couldn't you have just helped me avoid it?
So I'm not the only one who yells at my guides then. Okay.
Right.
They're sure they get really exasperated with me because I'm always yelling at them like, speak in English.
I know the feeling.
Huh?
I know the feeling.
I just smelled cigarette smoke for some reason.
Oh, that's Dale.
Oh.
Yeah, he's been around the
Okay.
past couple days.
Oh, okay.
That's Tammy's late husband. We miss him.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, it's been about 4 years, but he's been hanging around lately. I think it's because it's our daughter's birthday today. So.
Oh, yeah, I just got goosebumps all over my body.
Nice.
That's so special.
Oh, blessings, prayers.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, back to
Yes.
Bigfoot. Happy birthday to Raven.
Back to the show.
Back to Bigfoot.
Happy birthday, Raven. Happy birthday, Raven. Happy birthday. That's for you. That's all.
All right, no singing.
That's all. Like it was supposed to be some big
That's all,
performance.
folks.
That's all, and it was free.
All right,
Okay.
all right. Back to the show. So I want to hear some of your really cool experiences where you've encountered Bigfoot or
Okay.
had some experiences. That's what we want to know.
Yes,
Well, let's start with the most recent, okay? So, there's been a lot occurring. So this episode was with Minnesota BRT, okay? First of all, I was on point. I had just got done having knee surgery, so I thought I'm going to stay on the road, okay? So I had my combat tracking dog out with me, and my dogs are not owned by Minnesota BRT, but I use them to help other teams as well. And I was out with the team, and what happened? You can review the video that's posted on the Minnesota BRT for details. But so I had my dog out with me. Teddy's his name, by the way, Theodore, after Theodore Roosevelt. And they were starting they were doing some knocking, and right away, before just right as the first tree knock came back as a response, my dog indicated visually on where that came from. He looked right to the direction, and then the response, before the response came, his head moved, and he must have smelled and heard, and before it even started, he visually spotted it, and he went to the other side of the road and cued there. So Jason, which was on your show already, Jason then took a rock and hit the bridge, and had another knock there. So I thought, okay. So all of a sudden, my dog started, I call it striking, hitting. So we walked past the bridge, and at that time, my wife and Jason, as we were walking by, Quint didn't say anything, of course. Right away, they go, there it is, right there. And Susie saw, they use all this A and B movements. Okay, first of all, I'm not into that. Let's use simple language here. This is not, James Webb and Jack Friday, okay, from Dragnet. Very simple. My wife saw a shadow of a large entity. Jason saw the entity, and okay, that was the start of it. And Abe's son was with Littlefoot. We were walking down the trail. All of a sudden, we decided Abe went with the camera and the rest of the clients that was out on the night walk that night that went into the ditch. Okay. Then while they're in the ditch, Jason, Abe's son Littlefoot, and I was standing up on the road. You know, I'm taking the easy way out, you know, I just thought, well, you know what, nothing's going to happen here. I can't hurt my leg, you know, after being out like that, because I made a promise to my wife and to the doctor, Quint's not going to be in the woods for a few days and hurt yourself again. Just because, you know, you like going in the woods doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea. So that was flashing through my brain the whole time going, yeah, I'm safe. No. So very embarrassing, you know, the man pride, but you know what? You know, it's just a little reminder. God says you need a little humility, evidently. Okay, so back to the story. So I'm sitting here, I'm watching my dog, and Jason and Littlefoot is watching me watch my dog, and they're just, you know, scanning the areas like everyone else when you're researching, you know, because we just got done having a lot of activity already with knocking. That's a lot in itself on most nights. And mind you, all of this over the course of an hour and a half, this is all happening. So I look at the dog. My dog looks right into the ditch, and when his head turns, I feel something strike me in the head, and that's the last thing I remember. A rock flew out of the woods, hit me in the head, knocked me colder than heck. And right away, Jason Johnson, yelled out, I don't even know what it was anymore, because, you know, I was too busy. He caught me before I fully hit the ground. Of course, my bad knee hit the ground. So I finally came to. By that time, Abe and Susie led the people on the night walk up. And by that time, we got up on the road. They asked what was happened. We got a rock. The rock was sent in for DNA evidence testing, by the way. It was bagged and tagged proper for evidence. And then I'm dazed. I mean, I just had the rock the size of a golf ball hit me in the head, okay? And Littlefoot and Jason both explained all they saw was the rock fly, hit me, I went down, cut and dry. No more, no less. They were shocked. Jason was very, very concerned, very disturbed. And he says, we do not belong in these woods right now. We just don't belong in these woods. And that's, to this day, I'm not speaking for Jason, but Jason will say that if he's on the show right now, he would say that we did not belong in the woods that day, because there was a malevolent force out there that did not want us there. Because there's more. I mean, as we progress into the story here, there had to be 3 or 4 Bigfoots there, and one of them was not a nice one. Okay, didn't get that vibe from the other ones, but there was one that was pretty bad. So after we got all our bearings, we went down the road. And at that time, that's when Jason made a straight, he saw the face of one actually, and he goes, there it is, across the river. My dog struck again. We walked over and I yelled out, hey, who wants to come with me? And I remember their names. These are clients. We've never met these people in our entire life, okay? His name was Steve, and his wife's name, or girlfriend, pardon me, please forgive me if I get that incorrect, okay, in the crowd. So his better half, let's say the better half, his better half, Billy Joe was her name, I do believe. All of a sudden, Steve says, I'll go. So Steve, like a trooper, follows me, not even armed, not even carrying mace, nothing. He just follows me into the woods. And right away, the dog is looking down, actually smelling the ground, because so at the same time he struck scent on the ground, Steve and I simultaneously look and go, is that what I'm thinking you're looking at? That you're seeing that what I'm seeing is the same thing? And then we both in unison go, yes. So we saw a probably anywhere from an 8 to a 9 foot tall wild man sitting in the dark area of the trees, kind of hunched over, kind of bent over, kind of going side to side on the tree, watching us. And then at that moment, when the dog spotted it, right away, visually, once again, the dog visually locked in on the wild man. The Bigfoot then, and 1001, 1002 was gone, ran right into the background, crash, bang, boom, into the trees. And Susie was behind me, and I yelled out right away, hey, let's get the rest of the people in here so we can see and look. Abe brought the camera in. Jason at that time was my cover guard, because we were just, attacked basically with a rock. We didn't want to have anyone else get injured. So Jason was a cover guard, and I had everyone stay back. I took my dog. Actually, I switched out to my coursing dog, which is a Irish Red Chester. I switched dogs actually because I really wanted to get a good track, and she is really good at tracking. There's not hardly anything that she has not been able to track. So she was actually on visual scent track for about 50 yards. I go in, I'm seeing branches broke like 8 foot up in the air. I'm seeing like everything was broke, about 4 foot diameter for about 50 yards straight. Then all of a sudden it just comes to a complete dead end. Dog loses scent, lose the trail. Once again, Mr. Elusive just dumped us, and there's no sign. So Abe and I and Jason, Susie covers the side just in case she's out looking for tracks with Steve. Susie's off in her own little world. I'll let her tell her own story. So I don't want to talk for her, and I don't want to talk for Abe or Jason. But so anyway, Steve and Susie, they find a big track. Okay. So kudos to them. Me, I'm more worried about where to go, and I want to see if we can actually get some footage. So I kind of show everybody. I just wanted it all to tame down. I didn't want to chase, wild man into the trees in case he's still there. I don't want to show any aggression because, oh yeah, I just got a rock hit in my head, and I'm humble. I'm very humble.
And
because
you've got a bum knee.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a story to that too. I'll tell you about. So we take all the clients, I call them clients, okay, people up that wanted to do the night walk. They walk up, they look at the branches and the breaks, and they're all going, wow, okay. And then they just get into side conversations very quietly. And then finally I just say, hey, everybody, you just stay here. Abe and I are going to go in. So Abe grabs the camera. We're walking in. And then once I'm walking in, my leg just gives out. Bam, I go down. Well, can you? Yep. I went, yeah, but that's not going to stop me on this. This is important. So Abe and I come up to the point to where everything, is basically at the dead point. Once again, the dog could not track scent, didn't have any visual sound, visual or audio soundings, or vision. Yeah, excuse me. So to make a long story short, Abe and I just go, well, we're scratching our heads. Mr. Ninja took to the trees again. But as we were leaving, right away, Abe and I at the same time, pungent smell. Okay. I described it as smelling like garbage, nasty smell. Abe identified it as like walking into the Minnesota Zoo primate area smell, is what he described as we were walking out. Okay. And then, so we came back out, and come to find out, talking to everyone, rewind back to when I got hit. A few of the people that was in the woods with Abe and Susie said that they actually heard a so it threw the rock. That was the grunt when it threw the rock, because it happened at the same time when it hit me. They heard the grunt from throwing the rock. So we come back out onto the road, and we see the print, and there's a good alleged print right there that Susie and Steve found. So we decided that we're going to cast it. Okay. And the next day we came back out and casted it. That's pretty well it. But during that next day, when Susie and I was out there casting to start, we ran out of plaster, of course. Abe showed up, and and we were trying to document the evidence and stuff like that with the camera and the film. Of course, the plaster ran out, dried. Susie says, "Thanks, Abe." Thanks, Abe. We got the plaster. The plaster dried what we were trying to dry because it was in a bag. And so poor Abe, he had to drive clear to Grand Rapids to get more plaster. So he came back, and then we had to put more plaster in it, and we got a thing. But the fun thing was, really funny thing was to this story, while we were doing it, there was tree knocks. Susie heard the tree knocks, and we were just going, "Oh man!" So yeah,
isn't that always the way it works, though?
Yeah. But I mean, really, so we had a lot of action. We had rock throwing, we had tree knocking, call and response, and now I think this is probably the biggest thing I would say for research. My dogs, and they're certified tracking dogs, okay? We had the first official certified dog strike on visual tracking on a Bigfoot. So we just have one solid piece of evidence that you can use. All right, so you can take your dogs out, okay? There's different levels of dogs. There's your pet, there's your hunting buddy, and then there's dogs. I train my dogs on the average that I get my puppies at 7 to 8 weeks old. I'm known as Mama. And Mama trains them. I'm their everything, and they're everything to me. You train them. I work those dogs 20 hours a week on average when they're puppies. No excuse. I mean, it's whether I'm tired or not, it's all about the puppy. It's getting them tuned in to being what they're going to be. And they're going to be special forces. They need to be the best. They have to have their game on. And they have the tenacity. Like the Chesapeake Bay Retrievers has some of the most strong-willed waterfowling breeds in America. And it's an American breed of dog. And the tenacity behind that breed to learn. But I can't profess enough that a certified trained tracking dog can strike visually on Sasquatch. And I can say that we did it. So that's just a great piece of information.
Do you think some of these dogs have a natural ability to strike? I mean,
yes.
Or do you think it's all about the training?
I think it's about the training. I think they have a natural ability. You just have to train them to utilize the train. You have to train them. They might have basic instincts, but if they're not trained proper, they're not going to perform. Normally, I don't care what kind of dog. The dog is only as good as the owner that trains them. It doesn't.
Amen. Yes.
Like a pit bull, they say they're a horrible dog. They're a fighting breed. No, it's people that do the bad to make them bad. It's people that doesn't train them proper that makes them vicious. It's people. It's a people problem, not a dog problem. How you train your dog is how they will respond. And if they're trained good, guess what? They're good. And if you want your pet, it's up to the individual. But every week, I spend anywhere from 3 to at least 6 hours a week spending time training dogs.
I bet they're so happy.
Yeah, they are. Well, sometimes they're not happy with me because, sometimes they're bullheaded like I am. So.
Yeah, but you give them a job to do, and they're gonna give it their all.
Absolutely. Those kind of dogs, they want the challenge. They go to work, kind of like a beaver. They're 100%. It's 100. They're adrenaline junkies. They want to do it every time, perfect to the best of their abilities, and do it right the first time. So, yeah. But so then other Bigfoot experiences that I've had has been research. The week prior to that, I had a report on a area. Got a call about a four-wheeler. Okay, so got a call on a four-wheeler that was a large four-wheeler that had 4 people in it, and it was up on a four-wheeler trail up in north central Minnesota. About probably in the Big Fork area is the best I can describe it, because it's remote. I don't know the name of the trail. It was a trail. Anyway. And I got a link to it. But the gist of the story is the four-wheeler had two wives and their husbands and their wives, for 4 people total, was in a side-by-side OHV. They were driving along on the four-wheeler trail, and as they drove by, well, there was a Bigfoot standing on the side of the trail. And they passed by it, and they could not believe what they saw. It goes down the hill, right? And then they pull over, and all of a sudden, the Bigfoot actually starts running down the hill at them. They don't know why. It starts chasing the four-wheeler. They can't figure out why. So therefore, they're going, oh my goodness! And all of a sudden, they start the four-wheeler up, and they do a fishtail, and he gets really close to the four-wheeler, and then at that time on the fishtail, the rear end of the four-wheeler bumps the Bigfoot, and it jumps off the road and runs into the Tamarack Slough. So I get this report, so I go there. They marked it with tape for me and stuff. So I go there and I look at it. Lo and behold, there was a path that was made through the Tamarack Slough that was 4 foot diameter, that went for about 80 yards and then disappeared. Footprints was filled in with mud by them, but you can tell that a large creature had jumped into the mud, and the mud was filled in the tracks and stuff. I couldn't get a printer thing because it's bog, but it ran through the bog just like it was nothing. They said it just cooked right through there like an Olympic runner is how they best described it.
Did you tell us what? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask your question.
We don't have long. I was just going to say, did you tell us what you thought is causing them to just disappear? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think they just have the natural ability to blend into their environment like chameleons. Yeah, but
Very
and
cool. Thank you.
I can finish the story another time too, because there's a lot more to cover on a lot of different stories. So
Perfect.
Well,
Yeah,
you've been a great guest.
You have. There's so many things that we'd like to talk to you about, but we're running out of time quick.
Already.
Yes. But I want to give you the opportunity to tell people how they could find you if they wanted to reach out to you for something.
okay, well, the name of my group is Scout Trackers Research and Investigations Team, and you can reach me at scouttrackers1@gmail.com, or call my cell phone number. I'm not afraid to give my cell phone number out. 641-596-0319. Repeat, 641-596-0319. And or you can just reach me on my Facebook account, Quint Askildson.
Nice.
Gotcha.
I hope you
You're
don't
a
have to
brave
change
man.
your telephone number.
You're a brave man.
Yeah, well, that's all right. After in the professions I've had, I'm not really afraid of anything, to be honest. But I like to just take a special moment to name off my team members. Don Sherman is on my team, and I'm not the leader. We are a team, and we're all equal, and we're going to help everybody. So Don Sherman, his better half, Andrea, Susie, and Jason Johnson, Stephanie Houston, who is a deputy sheriff and paranormal researcher, and also no names mentioned, Rhonda is her name. She's our support staff, and she'll be doing a lot of IT information and researching. And then I have a huge support staff of lab specialists, doctors, attorneys if need be, and law enforcement and DNR from my past history and my past life, and a lot of public servants that are on board to help me.
I love it. Well, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you for coming on the show tonight. And hey, everybody, we're going on expedition here very soon. So the next 2 weeks, we will not have a live show. We'll be in the field. Sorry. We're going to be going to have some good stuff to tell you and share with you. So until next time.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Night.